in the rain and on the bike,
That's a very beautiful story, I think.
and this is magic.
From the stable life of a lawyer to the unpredictable journey of entrepreneurship. Meet Tobias Seidl, who made a bold leap into the unknown. Now, after building a successful business, he is ready to share his journey, one that was anything but smooth.
So we believe Bitcoin will be like the backbone of the financial markets in the future.
They didn't believe you.
We did so many stupid stuff.
Are you looking for challenges on purpose?
Yes, I do.
Tobias, you mentioned that you could have had in life quite easy. If you just become an architect as your father, then you could take over his business, but you didn't. Was it worth it?
Absolutely, I would say, right? I mean, like being an architect is like a wonderful profession, I think. But I think like when I would have taken over like the bureau of the firm of my father, I would have been stuck in Bavaria, and I would have got like more or less the same influence from the same people. I met so many interesting people in the meantime. I had so many interesting experiences because I think I took a different path, right? Even if it was a rocky path, most of the time, especially since I'm like an entrepreneur and we set up like our company in 2017. So
as a kind of a first mover, kind of a nascent industry.
Yes, that time we were like one of the first. I think there was only one or two other companies, but they don't exist for a very long time anymore.
So well done already for that.
Thank you so much. Now we are on a good path, yes, and at the moment. No, I would say it was definitely worth it. Also, like because I met wonderful people, right? Super interesting people on the way, and I think like the more and more I'm doing it, the more interesting people I meet actually in life. This year, for example, I met so many interesting people. It was like, fantastic. Yeah.
I'm always curious about people who grew up in the families of entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think what information or what things did you learn as a child that you think you can use now? Or what things were not that useful that you probably don't say, okay, I forget that?
I mean, my father was an architect, but he was working very hard. Right. So most of the time was also working during the weekend. So I never had like this very close relationship with my father. So he never had like time to go fishing or something like that, or doing sports with me and these kind of things. I think that was definitely a big downside. And then I saw them also struggle a lot, right? I remember like when he said like, okay, I will be an independent entrepreneur. I will not work, because before he worked for the city as an architect, and then he set up his own firm. And then I visited them because I did not live with my father, so my parents are separated. And I visited them in Munich, and then they were like in a very small flat, and the kitchen table was actually the washing machine, So it was very poor beginning, so this was definitely something. Another downside, by the way, was that we always have to bring our Christmas presents and birthday presents back when like there was a tax inspection.
Oh, that's interesting. That sounds rather traumatizing for a kid. I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
I got like once like this like a recorder or something like that, like a cassette recorder, like you know what I mean.
We are the same age. I know, yeah.
Maybe I should not say this actually. And then we had like to bring it back, like, and then it was like, yeah. And then we had to bring it back, and of course we got it back, but it was always like
so there was a happy end, because it was just shocked. I mean,
yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because like then there was a tax inspection, and he bought everything on the firm, right? So that was like something very funny. I found it very funny in the end,
So I think it's safe to say it's now out of any judicial proceedings, of course.
Yeah.
It's all
like
live,
to see.
it's all recorded now.
Yeah. But can you remember any conversations around entrepreneurship about, I don't know?
No, he was not very encouraging at this point, to be honest. So he was also not very encouraging to be an architect, right? Because I wanted to get an architect. He was not so much encouraging in the end, but he was very inspiring for me also, and also like his wife, because we were always visiting architectural sites, new buildings, and like the art side I really loved, and also like all the magazines and the inspiration about creativity, because he was always drawing, so this was like something like I really loved. Conversation. I mean, we had a lot of like later on. I did actually draw also. So I draw like a kindergarten in school, like a self-sustainable kindergarten. It was a long time ago. It was probably one of the first. Like
Sustainable even. We are talking about 40 years ago, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you have been ahead of time.
30 years ago. 30. It's 5 years ago.
Feels like that.
And no, it was it was 94, right? So
20-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was 94, and I constructed like it like this like a prism where like the children should play, and I had like this idea that I had like a prism, and it's adapting to the sunlight and all this kind of stuff. So I liked actually the idea of being an architect. Yeah. But in the end, I got a little bit discouraged, I think, doing that. And then I started as a designer in the beginning after school. And I loved also this job. And later on, I started to study law.
But now you work with blockchain. How do you use your creative side in that?
I mean, when you're an entrepreneur, I think you have to be anyhow very creative. So every day is like is a challenge. You can never think in processes, in my opinion. So you have to be extremely creative. Where everything came together for me when we set up our company, because it's not only about the tech blockchain, it's also about the investment platform. Because before we set up the company, I had like this kind of idea that you create an investment platform where you can just like invest in themes, right? You say, okay, I want to invest in water, I want to invest in oil, I want to invest in whatever food or something like that. And then you get like the right investment products. So I was always like, as I was working as a designer before, I was always captured by the idea like creating like this. And when we set up Stokr, I was in charge for creating the platform. So what you see right now also on Stokr was mainly I was in charge of it, and I was like instructing the designers, and I'm still actually doing like a lot of user experience on our platform, even of course we don't have so much time anymore to do it.
Yeah. So there was a great benefit of all of that, because I mean I'm from a non-entrepreneurial family. My family was mostly engineers, civil servants, and teachers. But when I listen into architects, it's a very, say, creative industry.
Yes.
Apart from the drawing, of course, very creative. So I think as entrepreneurs, we always have to do pivots and U-turns and throw our drafts just in the bin, just to get going. And in retrospect, it all looks like a thought-out plan, but it was never planned that way. It just happened over the course of a certain period.
Yeah, and in this I totally believe, right? Sometimes I do stuff in life, I don't know why I do them, right? So it's like, for example, I started to program as a lawyer, right? Every day. And this benefited me a lot when we set up our blockchain company, obviously, right? I programmed for 2-3 years, and my girlfriend at that time, she said like, yeah, do you want to become now a programmer? And I said, oh, I just like have fun. And why do you do it? I don't know. It's just like, it's like fun, And I really liked it. And I very often in my life, I did this kind of things. And then the life path changed. And then you can question, is it because you did it, or you have already like anticipated that this skill is required you're building for other things? Yeah.
I like to ask this question. We used to ask several people already. How often do you listen to your gut feeling?
Very good.
I mean, what is gut feeling in the end, right? So I think all decisions you take are not always rational as a human, right? You always have like a mixture of emotions when you take a decision, right? You think, okay, in the end, it's experience for me also, right? And I take very fast decisions normally, so I'm very impatient in decision-making processes. So I like to take a decision and then rather like see what's happening, and rather like than pondering around for months and years, like what I can do. And I think it's very important to take fast decisions. So I'm not thinking actually often too much, and then maybe you're right in this sense. Then you can call it the gut feeling, or like just like the feeling, because you cannot like see all the pros and cons, in decision making processes. I'm trying to, however, play with outcomes, so potential outcomes. So I play also with probabilities, right? In general, when I take a decision, so I think, okay, when I take this decision, what is the probable outcome?
Understand, but also listening to my experiences. So for all the things I have started, typically it was never 100% prepared situation. When I was 70% kind of ready, I gave it a go and improved along the journey. And when it was just 40% ready, I took more time for research, preparation, whatever. So
Yeah.
for you, it's more than this impulse, or what is it?
I think it's also like, because it's very different, right? Because like when you say like, okay, I take a path decision, right? I go here, left or right, right? The end result will be very, very different, no? So I think sometimes you cannot pivot away anymore, right? So you took the path and then you're on the path and then you have to go through it, or you would not go back, but probably that's nobody really does. So I think it's, does it answer your question? Or?
Yeah, it does.
So you call it a gut feeling?
You called it the gut feeling. I would just call it feeling.
It's more than a feeling.
And also like, you don't know what is like your real decision in life, or what is like, what is a decision you're not aware of taking, right? I believe also a lot in that, that a lot of things you do are like very unconscious in the sense, so it's a unconscious decision feeling.
It was not to your disadvantage.
No.
So with Stokr, because we were working together, that's something to be known to the public, and you did overly well. So at the end, it all paid off.
You say so?
I say so.
This we will see in the end of life. Now, I think like, but it doesn't matter in the end. It does not. I think it's a path is also very important in life. It's not only the results. And sometimes you are successful, sometimes you're not so successful. It's up and down. Ideally, you enjoy all the times,
I think it's also important to be quick in business, right? Because then you can outperform the others, because they're taking a decision takes 2 years, you take a decision 1 month, and so you have this.
Perfection is a killer for everything, and if you are more taking impulse-driven or more spontaneous, quicker in your decision making, you have where others still plan for the first step, you have already failed 4 or 5 times in between and are way ahead of all the others.
But this I had to learn. This I really had
to
learn. And I think when we started, I wanted also to make it very beautiful and perfect, yes. Like the platform. So we designed the platform for a specific user. So it was like Sarah from Berlin, very young, affluent in tech and so on. And and from this, we totally pivoted away, actually. So I think like this I had to learn that you have like to do it like very incremental, and then you're faster. So I think we made so many mistakes on the way, because nobody in our company really was an entrepreneur or set up a company before. So my co-founder, he was very young at that time. He came from Calcutta, and he started in a law firm in Hamburg, and then after a few months, we set up the company together. So we made a lot of mistakes, but we had also like very supportive investors and in general supporters around us. So they were always leaving us. They trusted us totally. I don't know really why, but they did. And because I said, okay, it's like so new what you do. You don't actually anyhow don't know how to do it in the end, And we were a perfect team, and we are still a perfect team, I think, in that sense.
But so today is episode number 8, and throughout all the past episodes, if there was one quintessence, was that most of our guests were a product of the failures and not necessarily of their successes, which has led that to the resound success, the rounded business people they are today.
But it's very hard to learn from success, right? So, but I mean, it's success.
Yes,
Yeah,
you
I learned nothing
celebrate.
from. I learned nothing from it. I only learned fast when I was punched in the face.
No, absolutely. And I believe also like struggle belongs to life, right? So when you don't struggle, you're not shaped, it's not, and it's also like very dull, your life, when you don't struggle. That's why I'm always saying when you're in Amsterdam and you see like the shiny, happy Dutch, because like they're like in the rain and on the bike, and then when they arrive, they are so happy.
I work for a Dutch bank, I can relate. So I see Amsterdam quite a lot.
By the way, you also mentioned that you love challenges, right? So how often do you need a new challenge, and what was your last challenge?
I think I don't have a number of challenges. I have so many challenges in my profession every day, right? Every day there's a challenge. You cannot. It's almost no day where nothing is not challenging, right? But I like to get out of my comfort zone also. This makes me extremely happy sometimes.
So you really like that?
Yes.
A lot of people would be very surprised to hear that.
Yeah, but because I think it's my personality. I'm like explorer, adventure type of person, right? So I like new stuff, and I like to. So now, for example, I come back from Africa, and I learned, like, there was a lot of challenges in the sense of like dealing with like these wild animals, with the danger. I learned more about photography, and also like everything was challenging, right? But beautiful at the same time. And then you have like really like, you have like, it puts like a smile on your face. So I love challenges, but sometimes, of course, there are challenges you like and some challenges you don't like. Some challenges you choose also, and some challenges just come on your way. And then you think, yeah, maybe this would have not been needed.
I love you for this statement, because we both traveled to those African countries at separate times, of course, Tanzania, but also Ghana, in that case, in the backwoods of the central region of Ghana, and which also requires a certain curiosity about culture and, yeah, as you said, also certain instability here and there.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you looking for challenges on purpose?
Yes, I do. Yes. I would say so, yeah. No, I do. I look for challenges. I like to learn also, like new stuff. I like to learn some things which I don't know. Yes, I think that's my personality, right? It's like a little bit like, I'm like, as I said, like I'm an adventurer person. So it's a personality thing, right? And I think adventurers are very good in setting up companies, right? Maybe at one point of time, they will move on and try new adventures. But I think the challenge is for me also like, is like I like also like danger, right? I love.
To what degree? You just got back from Tanzania. It's a bit unstable at the moment. Because you told me about your safari, because when I was there, it was super packed. Now it was more or less empty in the Serengeti, right?
It was empty. I mean, we were extremely, because there was political unrest, right? So everybody canceled the trip. Except of myself.
Except yourself, yeah.
and the two photographer friends of mine, they are hardcore. They take things in a different way. They also travel to Angola.
No, I was just thinking that, like what you just mentioned, that you like to learn and etc. Someone told me that it's quite a rare quality for a man, because normally women like to learn and develop themselves, and men are normally comfortable.
I mean, like nowadays, also a lot of men, I mean, always, I think it's just like, I don't think it's a women-man question, but in our company, for example, we have, and I see a lot of like very young people, they are now very much focused on self-developing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like ex-YouTube influencers, guys. What I'm saying is like what I see, like the people really work on themselves, right? So what we do in our company, we coach also our stars, let's say, where we see like the most potential. And it's unbelievable how interested and open the people are to coaching. And it's not a women-man question. I would rather say that men are a little bit more eager, actually more curious about like questioning themselves. But I think in the end, it depends really on the personality rather than on the gender. Right? It's
I
not
agree.
for me. It's not. I mean, I think there are differences, of course, but I think like personality-wise, I think it's really interesting how very young people are so open like to critique, to self-improvement right now, and this is like also like a trend I see. So I think there are like different trends, but I think like with young people, it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
But it's also the access to all those sources we couldn't have back in the days. I mean, I love YouTube. I love Instagram. Of course, I love to follow inspiring entrepreneurs. I mean, for me, Alex Hormozy or Simon Sinek as an example, it's just great for my own journey and personal growth. And for them, it's just a natural thing to have.
Yeah.
And I look at my kids; they are just, they just love it.
Yeah, I mean, I love Peter Thiel, for example,
you mentioned it in the
he was very much inspiring for me, also like on the past as an entrepreneur, and because he is like the same profession, right? So he was like a lawyer, and then he was going like into like a big law firm as I was doing, and then he found out, okay, this is all about it's all about just competition between like lawyers. There's not so much added value in the end, and then he went back, and he set up his first companies, right? So I think for me he was a very inspirational person on the path. In Italia, right, like Ray Dalio and all this kind of people, and later on, obviously, like people I met in real life also.
Yeah, but by the way, you also mentioned that now you learn more from people that you meet in real life, right? So can you tell us, I don't know, maybe something about the last encounter? What did you hear from some important people that really was
changing?
Yeah. I cannot say life-changing, but maybe changing in some sphere of your life. Something inspiring.
I mean, independent of the company, what I'm having, I think the people I think the one person I met recently was also a woman actually, and she taught me like more about kindness and openness and trust, right? And she's doing like very dangerous stuff in life, and but she has no fear, right? And she can do everything without fear, and this impressed me a lot, right? And I thought a lot about it. So that was like something what inspired me.
I mean, we have been just to Ghana and Tanzania.
So that was she was
doing
Burkina
Faso and Sudan, or what is she doing?
She's going like to Angola, right? That's what I mean. Or like she's like in Alaska with polar bears, and all this kind of stuff, right? So it's like or other stuff, which is pretty intense, and as a woman, in this kind of very very violent environments, like to handle and to do it with a smile and kindness and building like trust in people is like amazing, and I think this is something I would like to learn better also, right?
No, it's not a stick to gender. I mean, I have a very strong sister figure where I can look up to, so I'm not surprised by this statement. By the way.
As an entrepreneur, you mentioned you had hard times, so you almost was close to the end of your company, you mentioned, right? Could you tell us a bit about the situation and what helped you out? So
it was like, it was our mistake because we wanted to raise funds, right? And we missed the time, right? So we had all the people on the table and they were committing, and then the market went down tremendously. I think it was the FTX time. Nobody wanted.
Careful. By the way, for the audience, that it was a major cryptocurrency platform that went bust.
But this is like something. I mean, I was Bitcoin 2022, And I was going with my co-founder, and then we saw like the FTX arena, and then I did not know about FTX at all. Or even if I was like long-term in the crypto space. So it was like a new coming company built by an outsider, not from inside. So it was natural. And we did also not here, and it was very much supported also by major players, and they got bust. And we had all the negotiations we had done before, and then everybody kicked out and lost a lot of money, or like the markets went down. So it was just before Christmas. And we were running we had like a lifeline of 1-2 months, and we did not have a lot of time to survive. So we asked actually our employees like whether they would be okay to forego like the last salary of the year, which is like the most important, because you want to buy Christmas presents, you want to travel and so on. And everybody agreed. And what we provided, we said, okay, you get like a bonus like a double bonus, and you get stocks of our company. And everybody was agreeing, and I was very astonished. It was a difficult time. What I did actually at that time, I went like to a house in Switzerland. And I just I thought like, how can we, you have to calm down yourself, right? I also did not, of course, we also did not have a lot of money. So I was like really like doing routine work, right? So in the morning, cutting wood, making fire. Then I was cooking a lot, and then walked in the nature, and then went back to bed early, and then again, So it was really like a meditation and this helped me a lot. And then I came out with a lot more energy. But in the end, we managed then to raise, however, like a little funds to survive. And then we continued like that.
And what you told me off record, which I found very striking in the most positive sense, that most of the people that stood with you in this tough time are still with Stokr.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is, I think, quite a good sign, right?
Can you explain that? Do you have some particular culture in the company that helped people to?
I think like there's several things in our company, right? So one is like, of course, it's like as a startup, we don't have like so much hierarchies. Maybe we can call it a scale up. But at that time, we were still a startup, definitely. We have a very open culture, right? We listen to everybody. It's more about meritocracies and democracy in general. When somebody knows something better, we listen also, right?
Good.
And I think that's very encouraging for people. And then, of course, we are one of the only really Bitcoin-focused company with the tokenization platform, and of course it's super innovative. We are revolutionizing like the financial markets, and this how securities are traded, issued, and the like. So this you don't find so often in life. And then second is like the Bitcoin focuses and attracts a lot of passionate people also, right? We have people who came, like they got offers from consultancy companies for 200K, and they started with us at that time for 40K, just like to learn.
Oh,
yes,
that's impressive.
Yeah, that's really impressive. You also mentioned that you have a mission to decentralize financial industry, basically, right? That was your expression. How?
What we do is like we bring securities on blockchain, right? And blockchain is normally decentralized. We believe that Bitcoin is the most decentralized blockchain, right? Because it's not really controlled. So we believe Bitcoin will be like the backbone of the financial markets in the future.
But it was more driven by this mission statement to decentralize, to detach everything from centralized control, more as a general topic for you to build something that detaches yourself from centralized power and influence.
That comes natural with the choice of blockchain also. But so we believe, for example, however, that of course there's like merit to all the blockchains, but we believe Bitcoin is really the most decentralized because it uses energy. Others don't use energy, right? So energy is like a connection to the world, right? So without energy, because like every single being in the world requires energy to thrive, and Bitcoin does the same. So you bring like we bring like order in an unordered state with energy, and this is what Bitcoin is doing also for the financial industry. That's like one aspect, so decentralized. And of course, when it's decentralized, and what we do is like we build like this direct connection between the issuing company of securities and the investors. So there's a lot of disintermediation, a lot of like central market players are not required anymore in this sense, right? So it's like the decentralization aspect is actually that you create like direct connection between investors, for example, and issuers, or between investors. So you can trade peer to peer. There are millions of use cases which develop around it, and what is behind it is like that you are in control of your own assets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're in control, and you more or less wipe out largely the middleman, so to say.
Yeah, there will be always middlemen, right? There will be always like a function,
or at least a dominant reduction of those.
Yeah, it's just different, right? It's I think I said like revolution before, but I think it's actually an evolution, right? How securities are traded and what kind of financial instruments you can hold, and for me, Bitcoin is definitely something extremely valuable because you can hold your own assets in your own wallet, which only you control, nobody else. It's not a bank, it's not a state, right? And this is magic.
This was more this mission part, so beyond the business, beyond the tech, also for everyone to participate, because it's not only exclusive to big institutional pockets, but it's also something, of course, normal people can have access to.
Yes, I mean, I have like this for Bitcoin. Yes, for our products, we are focusing more on high net worth individuals and institutional investors. I have to say,
the topic at a higher level, of course, it does.
For example, can you tell your story? I was like once in Abu Dhabi. And in Abu Dhabi, most of the taxi drivers are actually coming from Africa. And he came from Rwanda. I always like to talk to taxi drivers because it's always interesting, I think, what kind of stories they have. And then he asked me like what I'm doing. And then he said, yes, that's very interesting, because like he cannot open a bank account in Abu Dhabi. He's not allowed to open a bank account. And his mission is like he's driving his taxi for 2 years, and then he buys 2 or 3 good cows. And then he goes back with the money, buys the cows, and then he can, you can, with a few cows, you can make more cows, when you're smart, and then you can drive, you can grow the business, and you can marry, because you need like cows to find the women and the like. So it's like something he was working on his dream. And he said he did it like now the second time. And the first time he got robbed on the way because he brought all the cash and then the money was gone. And this time he has it on Bitcoin. So he just has like the passphrase in his head, nobody can take it from him, right? And he is controlling it totally. It's, for example, a very beautiful use case for Bitcoin.
And that's what I meant also, the mission beyond the actual underlying business case.
Yes.
It's doing good for society and is more inclusive than it used to be.
That's a very beautiful story, I think.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Could you share with us some major flops that you had in your entrepreneurial journey?
Major flops? We had like already like the platform we built never got used in this sense, right? So we built something and then we pivoted away from the specific idea. I don't have like a specific flop right now in my mind, like during the business cases, of course.
But what did you learn from that you needed to pivot?
I mean, from all the, so let's call it like flops or mistakes, like from all the mistakes which had like also like obviously negative consequences, maybe like this can be considered definitely as flops, right? I learned, first thing is, I think, don't worry so much about stuff which will happen in the future, because you cannot really influence it. So I think like when things are happening, like, really live in this specific moment of time, and then create an idea and be persistent in pursuing it also, right? So I think these kind of things we learned, and then you learn what you learn when you make a mistake. You analyze like the mistake, and try not to make the same mistake again, right? And I think we had a lot of mistakes. We hired, for example, in the beginning, like a marketing manager, right? After 2 years, and we did not even have a product fit, right? And she was costing an awful lot of money, and she came from the corporate world, and she was telling us how to do everything. We did not even need it, There was nothing to market. So I mean, like, we did so many stupid stuff in the end, right? On the way. But then we rectified like our decisions, and then we moved on. I think this is like what you have to do when you do mistakes in life. You have like to somehow learn from them and move on, and not ponder too much, but learn, of course, from them.
It makes you also more confident because of all the pivots, all those micro, let's call them micro, not major, but micro failures. You also become typically, at least for me, a more confident person, because you knew you will somehow either muddle through or overcome all those hurdles because you did in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like when absolutely. And it makes you more resilient also, right? You don't freak out anymore.
Just the buzzword at the moment, but this is truly lived resilience.
It's like, for example, because you asked me before about like when we were like, as a situation, and for me, it was also like that, I just like live in this is a specific moment of time, right? Be there and don't wonder so much about the future. And I think a lot of people get carried away with thinking too much about what happens in the future, and then you develop fear, and then you cannot think clearly so much anymore. I think it's pretty important that you don't worry about the future. And my sister once said to me, she said, like, when I would have your life, I could not sleep. But I mean, of course, as an entrepreneur, sometimes you cannot sleep.
This famous saying, when I was an entrepreneur, I don't remember who said it. When I was an entrepreneur, I was sleeping like a baby. I wake up every 2 hours and cry.
That's a good
don't know this one, but it's kind of true. Maybe not every 2 hours.
That's a good one. Yeah. I like it a lot.
But speaking about learning, could you share with us 3 major lessons you learned in your life?
I think to what I just said, I think one is live in the moment, definitely. Yeah. I think this is for me like something I really learned in life. And when I was young, I always thought about the future, right? Also, especially when you're like studying, you always like think, okay, when I do that and that and that, and I will be that and that and that, But in the end, you should have just enjoyed life, huh? And you don't know what's happening in the future. And definitely, the other thing what I also just mentioned is definitely resilience. Helps. Even when everything looks unachievable, and you want to do it, you will succeed. Right? I think you can make it always, right? And I had it very often in my life that I was like really like I did not make it, and I did not make it. And there was a wall, and there was a wall, and there was a wall, and I was like just like consistent, and I said, okay, let's walk through it.
Love it.
And that's what we also did with our company Stokr, right? Like, everybody, when I told my story in the beginning, and and then like the people looked at me, and of course, good luck.
They didn't believe you. They didn't believe you.
No, and of course, nobody supports you also in life. It's like really like a lot of people talk about the support. In the end, you have like to support yourself. Huh? It's like very rare when you do these kind of things that people support you in this sense. Not even like the people who love you. because they think maybe, yeah, okay, but I was, for example, a lawyer, and then they say, but why do you give like up your beautiful career? You make a lot of money, like to be poor and makes this kind of challenges, and they consider it rather stupid, right? Yeah. Because they're worried about you, like people. As I always, to have somebody on your side who really supports you in these very difficult, I think it's very rare, actually, to be honest. I think you have to rely on yourself much more than on other people, and you should not rely on other people. And I think maybe that's the third one. You should not rely. First things, not on opinion of other people, but also not on the support of other people.
Or not relying on the opinion of people that don't live the life you want.
Yeah, everybody lives its own life now. And everybody has his own mission and the things he thinks. Yeah.
I once interviewed a guy who needed to reach a certain goal, and he worked on surrounding himself with people who would support him in this goal. So on purpose,
that's
he was doing that on purpose. Have you done it?
Yeah, in the end, that you do it maybe unconsciously, right? Because, of course, the people around you are important. I don't say that the people around you are not very important. And when you have this is what you hear everywhere, right? It's very common sense that when everybody around you is questioning everything and has a negative energy, it's not good for your drive, right? So of course you have to be surrounded with the right people and the inspiration. But I think this comes naturally also. For example, I meet always super interesting people. Just naturally, I go out and I meet interesting people. And I think it's just like an attitude, saying, what do you want to have? Whom do you want to talk? What do you find interesting? And yeah.
But it's also something, of course, that comes with business, because you have to be linked to grow yourself. All this personal growth. So all the business partners I used to meet were more or less also developing themselves into good friends, because we share the same worldview. We have overcome the same life or business challenges, and all of a sudden you surround yourself with people that are uplifting, and you are energized even on a Friday evening.
Yeah, and for example, Arnab Naskar, right? He's my co-founder. I love this person. We talk every day, right? And we fight every day,
That's nice.
The first time we met is just a side story. We had I was still working as a lawyer, and then we were discussing about setting up this company. And then I was living with my girlfriend at that time, and she said please go out when you talk to this guy, because you're always shouting around. So I was going out to always at the same place, and I talked to him, and then his wife said the same thing. Why do you always shout every Saturday morning with this random guy? Yeah. Why do you fight? What does come out of this? And and that's how we communicate somehow. But we have a lot of respect for each other, and we are not. We believe it's enriching for us, and we don't take it really personal in the end, right? We shout, and we are sometimes really loud also, but we are trying to learn from this, but still the tension is always there. And I think when you don't have tension, also nothing can develop.
No, it's just a competition of the best ideas.
Yes, also maybe. Yeah.
Very good.
I don't have questions anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. If you liked our podcast, please subscribe. The algorithm will know that you liked our conversation and will recommend it to more and more people.